This is the Mediate Now with Winter Wheeler. Your clear choice for expert mediation and negotiation advice. But it's so much more than that. Take our advice, you will improve your entire life. Are you ready? Let's get to it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today to the Mediate Now. My guest today is Jamie Szal. Am I saying your name right?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yes.
I mean, I should have asked. That's the thing. Jamie assists businesses in all aspects of state and local tax, from compliance to audits and administrative proceedings through litigation. Jamie is the president of the Trinity College Alumni Association, alumni liaison of the Board of Trustees, and on the Women's Leadership Council. She serves on the Mothers Esquire Program Committee, heading the Pump Up the Bar campaign. She's involved with the Maine State Bar Association Women's Law Section. Finally, she serves on the board of a dental nonprofit. She co-authored the bestseller Networked about the power of women supporting women in digital community building. Jamie enjoys raising her fiercely independent, impish daughter, singing, and hiking with her husband, daughter, and dogs. Welcome, Jamie.
Thank you, Winter. It's a pleasure to be here.
Listen, I am so excited. Jamie, if I think anyone who's listening to this probably already knows this, but Jamie is my co-author for Network. So Jamie and I have been buddies for quite a while here. So anytime I get to talk to Jamie is really exciting and fun.
It is. And we can enjoy sharing gabs about 3-year-olds and mom life and lawyer life. And I'm glad to see the book behind your shoulder. I realized.
Oh yeah, I mean, I keep Networked right here all the time. Like always plugging the book, right? I'm everywhere I go, I'm trying to sell it. So
I have it behind me. I usually carry it with me. We're down at camp this weekend, so I have my setup back home and
nice.
Getting flexible here. Yeah.
Get a little relaxation in. Are you working down there, or are you mainly just relaxing?
Well, this is a working weekend, but
okay.
Mainly relaxing. That's the one thing, like I will say I'm not particularly good at boundaries for myself. That is my task of the year. But weekends are the one thing that I'm usually pretty good at saying, like from 5 p.m. on Friday till after my kid goes to bed on Sunday, I need 48 hours away from the world of tax. And so I take it. It's litigation life. Sometimes I don't always get to do that, but
yeah, absolutely. And I feel you on the boundaries thing. I am notoriously terrible about it myself. I try and I try and I try. But it doesn't always go the way that I want it to go. But you know what that brings up for me? That American Bar Association article that I'm going to call us the lady lawyers because I think that's probably what she wants to call us. All the lady lawyers. And of course that article is, are women lawyers paying enough attention to upward mobility? Whew. And this article is just so full of moments that made me gasp out loud.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just the blaming of women for absolutely everything that plagues the legal field it was mind-blowing. It was mind-blowing.
I think because here's my mind trying to like figure out where she was coming from, right? I think in the sense that there are notorious barriers for women, particularly for women of color and Black women in our profession, and they exist. And I don't think anybody's going to dispute with her. But the way I read that article, and I think part of what made me so angry was like, here are the barriers, make the best of it and get used to them. And here's how you do that. As opposed to saying, how do we get rid of the barriers in the first place? Because
right.
I was aghast that this is an article coming from a woman, from a mother, from a lawyer being published by the American Bar Association in a journal, giving this like implicit license to so many people to say, I've got a mom in my law practice. I can just like not promote her or not give her good work or not think that she's going to be as committed to my practice because she's a mom.
Right. And clearly we make bad decisions.
And we can't focus, and we don't know how to sacrifice what it takes.
We're not team players.
We're not team players. And we don't know how to manage ourselves, because we have to be home to have dinner on the table from when daddy comes home with his big, important job. I can't believe you put that in there. I was just like,
yes. That line was just bananas. It's like, little children really want their mommies, especially when daddy also has a career. Like, wait, what?
I mean, maybe I should introduce her to my family because my kid has been home with my husband, and yours, I think, too, as well. Like from the beginning, right?
Yes.
We are the powerhouses in our family, you and me, Winter. And like, this is normal for my kid. And I'm proud of that. Piece of garbage that article was.
Oh my God. Like I'm getting angry all over again.
Yeah.
It's just,
yeah. But it was
just so absurd. So absurd. It's like, how isolated is she where she thought this was an okay thing to say? Yeah. It was someone like punking her. Did the kids still say punk? Was someone punking her when they let this go to print? Like, what? I mean, she must be getting all kinds of crazy mail, like, to her personal address.
I don't know, but I will say, if it weren't for the fact that she talked about COVID in the article itself, you would have thought it was written 40 years ago. And like, it's old generations thought about women in the practice. And
yeah, and she definitely had an old generation thought on what it means to be a lawyer in general.
Yes.
When she's talking about this is the trajectory you should have, you go from young associate to mid-level associate to like, listen, not everybody wants that.
Yeah.
I think the beauty of being a woman right now is that we have a lot of choices. We want to increase the number of choices that we have. We want flexibility. If you want to become the managing partner of a huge firm, we want to support you and get you there. Yeah. If you don't want to do that, we want to support you in whatever that looks like. I mean, that's the concern here. So to lump all of us together and then throw in all, the poor wretched souls who have unfortunately had all these children. It just didn't make any sense. Like we're some kind of monolith of just like sadness.
And also like, I don't know what her journey as a mom was, but let me tell you that how many of the transferable skills and the ways that I have become a better lawyer from being a mom. I mean, hello, my kid the other day, like didn't sleep all night, was up screaming 7 o'clock in the morning, and the ability to like learn quickly how to deal with difficult personalities, try negotiating with a 3-year-old. I would like, maybe that should be the like negotiations 101 in law school, just bring in a bunch of 3-year-olds, try to get them to agree with you.
Yes. Or the goal is get them all to take a nap at the same time.
Sleep. That would be nice. Yeah. I feel so fortunate that I am a mom. I'm fully supportive of all my colleagues who, whether they choose to or not, are not parents, but I love being a mom, and I am proud of the fact that I'm a lawyer and a mom, that my daughter gets to see someone pursuing career ambitions and is a strong personality and is holding her own and gets to see that from day one. Like I'm proud of that. It motivates me. It doesn't have me lose focus. Like, it's like, I need to show her, I need to be the example to her that this is possible. So yes, I'm going to live into it.
Yes, absolutely. We're not literally sitting at our desks. We're supposed to be writing a brief, and I'm worried about the socks I didn't wash earlier in the day. Like, what in the world? It was just, And it's funny to us.
Yeah.
I take that back a little bit. Let me walk that back for a second. It was infuriating at first, and then it kind of
Yeah.
became humorous because it was so ridiculous.
Yeah.
But if you were someone who doesn't have the benefit of the life experience
Mm.
that we have, if you're someone going into law school or contemplating it or considering having children and trying to figure
Mhm.
out what you might want in your career, something
Mhm.
like that might make you hesitate. It might make you stop and think, "Ooh, can I do all of this?" And that's
Yeah.
what really pissed me off because we
Yeah.
have come so far and we have been working to support each other. I mean, with networked, especially,
Yeah.
the women of networked, I mean, we are an example of how you can do absolutely anything you want and you can support each other and get
Yeah.
yourselves there even faster.
Yeah.
So to have something come out of the American Bar Association, which means is an organization that means a lot to me, and I'm very involved in it. And I know you have a lot
Yeah.
of involvement as well.
Yeah.
It was very disheartening, and I hate to think of any young woman being discouraged by what she read
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. I completely agree with you. I think that, if we are to actually make strides in this industry and in this profession to make it more equitable and inclusive for everyone, then we need to stop publishing stuff like that, because it puts that seed of doubt, right, in the minds of what are the future leaders, the next generation, the women coming up after us, that maybe it's not possible. And I was listening in on this discussion last year, and gosh, who was it between? It was Tracy Ellis Ross and Glennon Doyle. I think they were having a conversation with one another on this Forbes Women Summit, and Tracy Ellis Ross described this thing that, it was so powerful to me, that this image that she talked about. And she said she loves being in a community of women in particular, ones that are more senior ahead of her. So that way she has something to look forward to challenge herself, to aspire to become, and women that are coming up behind her. So that way she can reach down and pull them up with her, to benefit from her
Oh.
experience. And that idea, has stuck with me since I heard her talk about it, and I think that's what I see when we got together and wrote Networked, and some of the other communities that I found on LinkedIn. These almost family-like communities of women in particular who are recognizing that we're not competing with one another. We're there to compete for one another. We're there to uplift one another, to learn from one another, and act
Yes.
as almost like this digital amplifier, that we can help shed light and open doors for other people. Make sure that your voice speaks out, that my voice speaks out, that everyone else in our community speaks out. And that's the type of community I love being in, and I love being a part of, and I love helping to encourage. It's empowering.
I love so much of what you just said. Um, and what I just wrote down was compete for, not with. That is beautiful. I love that. We stand on the shoulders of the women who came before us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we need to continue to compete in order for the women who come behind us to do better than we're doing,
Yeah.
and for our little girls that we have,
Yeah.
so that they're not having some of these conversations that we're continuing to have. And I love that. And, you know, and again, what you were talking about with, finding these communities online, I absolutely love it. Now I have plenty of friends and girlfriends and community here in person, but the community that I found on LinkedIn was unlike any community I had ever found before. Finding a group of extraordinarily driven, intelligent, like-minded, career-oriented women who still were very much as dedicated to their families and their friends and ensuring that we all were lifted. I had never seen anything like it in my life.
No, neither had I.
I don't know that I ever will see that again. It changed my life, and it changed how I looked at myself, and it changed how I looked at other women. And now I know what is possible. And I think about the younger women who reach out to me. I'm very cognizant of wanting to give them that sense of community and wanting to make sure I help them. And at the same time, recognizing I'm pushing 40. By the time this comes out, I probably will be 40. My birthday's coming.
Happy early birthday, though.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm a Leo, so I'll probably start celebrating today.
I was going to say, do I need to go get some bubbly and we can celebrate?
always time for bubbly. But, just like making sure that we understand that we can learn from younger women too. And I think that as far as my experience, I found or felt that a lot of older women that I was looking up to, they didn't feel that way about me. They didn't consider that I had a whole lot to offer. I was more of like, oh, come on, little girl, let me teach you something. It was a heck of a lot less of, oh, she understands the current technology, and now I only understand the technology I learned back then. I now know nothing new. But yeah, I want to make sure that I keep up with people who are younger than me because they know different things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There was an article that I read last year that that stood out, and it was the generation of young professionals being a catalyst, if you will, for a lot of office structural changes, because they're the first of the generations that was raised by families and women, where women are in the workforce in parity with their spouses and other community members, and that they've grown to expect to see that. And so now they're demanding it of employers and places, and driving this like change that like, oh, if I'm going to attract and keep young professionals, I need to actually start to implement some of these changes. And so it's exciting to see that. I think you and I are in this almost like the crosshairs of the two generational changes, right? My early mentors that were women were I think the first of the generation of women lawyers who like really started to proliferate in the workforce, and had a little bit of that, like, well, I worked really hard and I had to deal with all of these structural barriers. So you need to too. I'm not saying that I didn't have mentors that didn't believe in me, but I think that there was a little bit of that, like I bore the weight of this on my shoulders, and now it's your turn. And I see my interns coming in, my summer associates coming in now, and they're just like, well, where is everybody? Because I expect to see better parity. I expect to see better office environments, better, culture. And I'm excited. I like seeing both of that, like I can help you become a better lawyer, and you can help me fight for a better industry and a better practice and a better place for you by the time you get to the experience level that I have.
So I think we just discovered what is good about being a geriatric millennial.
I think it's the first time. It's the only time I will, don this mantle, and I'm a geriatric.
Listen, the first time I heard that term, I was like, "You've got to be kidding me." Geriatric millennial. Exennial, right? Let's do that one.
I'm still the one that's like, I'm not ready to own the fact that I think I technically fall like just 1 year inside of the millennial line or whatever it is. No, that's not me. That's not me.
It's funny because so many people don't want to be millennials, but it's like I definitely wasn't Gen X. Like nothing about me is Gen X. So I'm definitely more of a millennial. But goodness, geriatric.
Yeah, it's like that phrase when they talk about, what is it, moms over 35 who are pregnant. They're like geriatric pregnant moms. Like, don't even go there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I had 2 of those. Unpleasant seeing that on the chart. Like, really? I remember. Wait, and then the first one, I was like, well, I'm 34. And they're like, yeah, but you'll be 35 when you give birth. I'm like, oh God.
I don't even think of myself as old, really. Like, no,
not at all.
Although
I know I don't.
I don't know if your spouse felt like this, but like I find my husband and I have reached that point where, like, in the last couple of months, maybe the last year, it's probably because of the pandemic and we're running out of things to talk to each other about. But like, we're at that age that when we were kids, we were just like, man, our parents are old, and we're at that age now.
Oh yeah.
I definitely don't feel like that.
Oh man. Like my mom had me really young, and so
mine as well.
Like I remember when she turned 30 and I thought she was old. So I mean at this point, like
I know. My parents were very young as well, and it's different, right? It's a completely different generation. I think, we were more in line, right, with the rest of our peers. So many of my peers went through college, they went on to grad school, they, men and women, they committed to establishing themselves in careers and pursuing those ambitions. And then they decided to start having a family. I think that's not abnormal anymore. And heaven help me. I mean, yeah, if I was 22 and had a kid, would I probably have more energy than I do right now to withstand the 3 a.m. Mama, it's time to get up. Probably, but I'll take it.
Yeah, it's so this. I don't even know why I'm going to tell you this because it's really embarrassing. But yeah, I mean, you, me, and my closest podcast listening friends. So like, I have 4. And I just can't make it through these late nights anymore. Like, I just can't. And so the kids, with summertime, they're like, oh, we want to stay up. We want to do whatever, whatever, whatever. And I'm like, okay, once I get the smallest one off, the 3-year-old, I get him into bed, I'm kind of just like, y'all do what you want to do. Just leave me out of it. Mommy's going to bed. And I'm in bed at like 9 o'clock. And I mean, I could sleep through like World War II, like, frankly. And I don't know. Who knows what's going on out there. And then, I'll get up as I get up early because I go to bed early, right? And I'll walk out to the family room and I'll find 3 kids just like one on the floor, one on the sofa, one half off the sofa. There's chips. Like, they had a full-blown party and I had not a clue.
I'm good for you for going to bed at 9 o'clock though, because that's something that like I desperately need to do, and I think it's coming. I mean, that's like, I hope it's coming with the law in general. I think when we were first starting and coming up, it's like cell phones were finally starting to hit law practices, and they're like, ooh, you can be available 24/7 because you have this device tethered to your hip, so you have to be. And I think we're reaching a point in the legal industry. I hope we're reaching a point in the legal industry that recognizing that lawyers are humans and we have to take care of ourselves. We have to, do things like sleep and exercise and spend time with our families and spend time doing things outside of the law because it makes us better humans. Being better humans makes us better lawyers. And I think I'm starting to see the tide on that change.
Absolutely. I mean, I hope. Yeah. I hope. We hope. We hope.
Yeah. I will say, I think I was seeing it until the pandemic hit. there's this side of me that's like, okay, do I want to like inflate some like false hope in skills that are not there? So I try to be creative in how I respond to things like, oh, why don't you tell mommy what you drew? Because I have no idea.
I do that all the time. Oh, tell mommy about the picture.
Yeah, please tell me. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I was having this chat with, speaking of LinkedIn, this post I put up yesterday it was about student loan debt. And it generates very strong feelings, apparently, among a lot of people. But,
Yes.
you know, I was having this conversation with someone of, when it comes to kids in schooling, I hope my daughter goes on to something after college. I don't necessarily know that it needs to be college, trade school, military, something that will put skills in her hands to launch her into the world in a profession. But if she is tone deaf, I'm not going to pay for conservatory, is my philosophy in life. But it's also school's expensive.
It is. And you do not want to be that mom on like American Idol, like standing in the wings. Exactly. Like, yay, baby. While they turn into like William Hung. Like no. You don't want to do that either.
No. But
there's a fine line there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's this idea, right, that you're trying to learn how to foster someone's talent. I don't remember if it was a post on one of yours or someone else on LinkedIn. It was this idea that, you can recognize a kernel in someone else. And I may not see it, you may not see it, but I can recognize that there's a kernel of talent. How do you foster that? How do you develop it? Maybe I don't remember, but you can take the credit for it. I'm giving you the credit here, Winter.
I'll take it.
But that's something that like parenthood and getting involved in mentoring, it's very similar, right? You see something in someone small, someone younger, someone less experienced. I want to say small as in physically small, because my interns are all bigger than I am. I'm not a big person, but you doing what you can to nurture and grow that type of talent. I always think of, how do I like to receive, whether it's criticism or feedback, or be told how can I continue to grow and improve as a lawyer. And I try to give feedback in that same way, like not necessarily gentle holding hands, but in a way that allows someone to recognize that kind of kernel of value in themselves and grow it. Because
Maybe that was me.
I think it was, but
it may have been.
I think it was. I think it was. Yeah. That's. I think it took me so long to recognize that I had to value that part of myself, to speak up with confidence, to own the fact that I am a good tax attorney, I am a good attorney, and I do good work for my clients. Because I think when, at least in my experience, when you're a junior attorney, you're running around trying to, like, I'm in the Great Recession generation. So like, make sure you keep your job and have a job. And, you write in a way that is for a senior partner. You write in their voice, often his voice, and learning how to kind of come into ownership of yourself. And I have to say that's something, like when you and I connected last summer, I was just struck by how you did that for yourself. That I was really awed and inspired by how much confidence and kind of self-ownership that you brought. And it was inspiring.
Thank you.
So you're welcome.
Don't you make me tear up. No, listen, I have on a full face of makeup.
That was what mothership took from me. I can't wear makeup anymore. Since motherhood. So yeah.
They took that from me for a very long time. I have reclaimed it. I enjoy the makeup. I'm wearing it again. I do it again. Now I'm like, I want a full face. I don't care. I may not be leaving the house. I'm putting on a face because mama can.
Well, it's like, we're still working remotely and I get dressed. I may not put on like, nice work pants or something like that, but I will put on a good work shirt. I'll put on good jewelry, and I probably even have on nice work shoes or something. Cause in my mind, it helps me signal in my day, this is work time. I am dressed, I'm ready. So that way, if I have to flip a camera on, assuming my laptop is working and the camera wants to function, which is a big if, sometimes, that I'm just ready to go. And it helps me get in that mindset. So,
Did I ever tell you that my thing is perfume? I always have on perfume.
Oh, no, I like that.
Always have on perfume. I love it. I just have to have it on. Even if I'm just like, I typically do get dressed for the day, but even if it's just like fresh pajamas, I will put on perfume. I don't know why, but that's my thing. I don't know.
Something that kind of makes your brain work different, I guess, right? You feel like you've come into yourself.
I feel like an adult when I have it on, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. But, and another thing that I would love for you to tell me a bit more about is Mother's Esquire.
Yes. I found Mother's Esquire shortly after I returned back to work from my parental leave. It's an organization that is, its mission is to kind of break down the barriers for particularly women in the law, for parents generally, but mothers who are lawyers. I'm particularly grateful to the organization because of the other aspect of its mission, which is empowering women to have the tools, one, to recognize their own value, but to advocate for themselves and for one another. So that way, whether it's something as simple as I need a room to pump if you're a nursing mother, or I need space to do that, or here's how you negotiate for partnership. Here's how you negotiate for a raise. Here's how you address difficult conversations, or learning how to have difficult conversations with people who are not necessarily going to listen to you, and learning kind of those advocacy tools. It's something that I'm glad that I came across when I did, because I certainly needed it in where I was when I was a new mom. I was in a new job in a new state away from family, and I think having those tools and the benefit that I got makes me passionate about kind of returning that, paying it forward back to the organization itself. But it was also my first glimpse of this digital community, right, that we were talking about earlier in the conversation, that it is entirely digital, and it's a place where women of similar experiences can come together and support one another. And I was like, this exists, and
yeah.
So but I think it's also how you and I connected initially, right? Because you wrote for Mother's Esquire on Above the Law. Was that?
Yes, I wrote, and we were already connected actually, and I had no idea about Mother's Esquire at the time. And so I wrote this piece, and I just started putting it in places, and one of the places was Mother's Esquire. And then we reworked the piece for Mother's Esquire, and it got, and it was put in Above the Law. And that's how that started for me. And then after that, I was like, wait a minute. I knew all of these women who were involved in this. I had no idea. I'm like, I need to start asking more questions.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. And I started to, read up on it and some of the initiatives that y'all have, and some of the things that I've seen the group do, I've been blown away. Like most recently, I think there was a woman who was getting ready to take the bar exam, and she was having issues with being able to pump.
Yeah. So this is part of the Pump Up the Bar campaign that I got involved with about a year ago. And it's timely, right? Because, when we're recording this, I think the bar exam is next week or 2 weeks.
so.
It's bringing back flashbacks. I kind of blocked that week of July out of my memory. But the purpose of this particular campaign is to make sure that people who are lactating and breastfeeding have space in order to do that. I think last year was the Oklahoma bar exam that we went up against, and they were just like, well, you can sit in your seat while you're taking the exam and pump with all the other attendees. And we were floored. Like, are you kidding? And this just highlights one of those barriers we were talking about with the article. This is just a fundamental barrier for women in the law. Like, when you're nursing, you need a place that has privacy. You need a place that is sanitary, like no bathroom or locker room or anything, because this is nourishment for your children that you're trying to produce. And you need a place that has a plug-in where you can plug your pump in and all these other things. And so for the Pump Up the Bar campaign, we're going after the bar, not going after as in threatening, but we are directly bringing it to bar associations and saying, this is an opportunity for you to eliminate a systemic barrier against women in the practice from the get-go. Like, we need a bar license to be lawyers. So stop making it difficult for women who are lactating to get a bar license in the first place by providing them with that extra space. Give them an extra 15 minutes, because that's about how long it takes to pump and put your pump away and go back to your desk. Like, it's not that someone's in there for a nefarious purpose. If you don't provide that, it's going to be pretty painful for the women who don't have space.
It hurts painful. If you have not pumped and you need to. And then they make those like the wireless pumps or the cordless pumps or whatever. Those things are not always efficient, and they still make noise, and you still have to mess around with them. You can't do that at your seat. Like, you can't. Yeah. I used to do that at my desk at work, and it was still a disaster. And I still had to lock the door. And it was just, it was such an ordeal. Oh my God. Now I'm having flashbacks about that.
I did it, the one place I was just like, I feel kind of like a badass right now, but in line at the U.S. Supreme Court for an argument for a case that I was on, because they didn't have place. So I'm standing in line. Now, I had a poncho on and my bag with me, but I'm sorry, as much as the in bra pumps that they make right now are much more subtle, you still have a Madonna of the cone bra effect, right? When you're standing there in line. I'm giving away my age. Side note, I have a much younger sister, and she's 17, and I started playing some Madonna last summer, and she was not reacting. So I turned around to her in the car. I was like, you do know who this is, don't you? And she's like, what? I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So we went on a Madonna. Anyway, but something. But that's what this Bump Up the Bar campaign is about, right? It is making sure that women have a chance to be good lawyers from the outset. It's making sure that space is for the bar exam. It's making sure that it's there in courtrooms across America. There wasn't at the U.S. Supreme Court. Put that in there so that women who are trial lawyers in court can have a space to go, and making sure that time is, made for them, whether it's in the middle of a trial day or in the middle of an exam. And it's, so that's what the campaign is about. I'm really proud of heading that campaign up. We've got a resolution speaking of the American Bar Association, we put in a resolution this year for consideration to make that an official ABA platform, that this is going to be required of bar examiners across the U.S.
Jamie, I love that. I want to help. Can I help?
Yes. Reach out to your ABA delegates. It's in the Young Lawyers Division right now. But to the extent that you have any connections among the Young Lawyers Division, reach out, tell them to vote for this resolution, so that way it gets passed.
Absolutely. I'm on it.
Yeah.
I'm on it.
Yes. Yes.
And so, Jamie, I know we've been talking for a while, but I did want to ask you for your kind of candid reaction. And you know what? I should have asked you first if you watched it. My new TEDx talk.
I did.
And it is called Confessions of a Mom Who Has It All. And before I say anything about it, I would love to know, what you thought about it.
It it struck a chord really, because I am a ambitious woman. I have a career that I'm proud of, that I'm nurturing, and I have career dreams that I'm pursuing. And I'm a mom, and I like to be a hands-on mom. When I was commuting before the pandemic, I had 3 hours a day that my daughter was awake, and I liked to make sure that I spent all of those 3 hours with her and parenting. But I also have a home, and I have other responsibilities, and it's a lot. And I think you made this point in there that really just struck a chord with me, of wanting help. And I think I said this to you yesterday, but some part of me doesn't want to have to ask for it. I want someone to see, oh, can I fold that laundry for you? Or is there something that you need help with to prepare dinner? Or, can I get that brief paginated for you and take that off of your plate, so that way, you can focus on writing it and not formatting it. Yeah, I would love that someone would ask, because I think what I find for me is that it is difficult to ask for it. And I think there have been times when I have asked for it and it hasn't come through the way that I wanted it to. And I think that makes me more hesitant to ask for it the next time.
Absolutely.
And not that but I found that part of your TED Talk personal, not just for you, for me as well, because it was clearly personal for you. But I also love just hearing, again, to that ownership of yourself and what you aspire to for yourself, for your career, for your family. It was wonderful. It was really, really good.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's very sweet. That was a hard one for me to do. It was hard to write.
Yeah.
But then I got mad at my husband, and it became easier to write. And I wrote it pretty quickly. But then when I was seriously, that's really what happened. But then when I was preparing to deliver it, I was having a really hard time wanting to practice. And I was like, why can't I've got this like mental block on this? Why can't I do this? I can't do it. And so I was, talking to my coach about it. I was like, I just can't force myself to do this. I just don't want to. And I was like, maybe I'm not even going to deliver this speech. And she was like, you are being so ridiculous right now. She was like, did it ever occur to you that maybe this is just so close to home you don't want to deal with it? And I was like, no, but you are probably right. She said, And, it kind of got to this point where like I couldn't get through the speech without crying. And I was like, I can't do this because I don't want to cry on stage. And she said, is it really going to be that bad if you cry on stage? And I said, no. I guess not, but I'd rather not. And so she said, okay, if you start to cry, take a breath, calm yourself down, and use that energy to keep going.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I just kept going.
Well, it was this image, not image, but this glimpse of what makes you so wonderfully human. And that, I think, is what I have, what I loved about your TED Talk, what I have really actually appreciated about some parts of the pandemic, that I think it has finally pulled back that curtain on a lot of families and lawyers, that we are human, that we have kids that are floundering around in the background, or my dog is chasing the chipmunk or the woodchuck out the window. They caught it last week, so it's not a problem anymore. But it's that glimpse, welcome within my world. And I actually really liked that part of the pandemic, that it made that front and center, that you couldn't ignore what was behind the scenes anymore. Like that scene in Wizard of Oz, I'm like, ignore the man behind the curtain. He means nothing. It's like, no, I can't ignore it anymore.
He's not behind the curtain anymore. He's like right here.
Hello, jazz hands, it's me. And I want that to continue, because I think that was what we lost in the practice of law. We lost that recognition that we are human. And I want to celebrate that, right? If you have something that's wonderful in your life, I want to know about it. I want to celebrate it. If you have something that's difficult in your life, I want to know about it. So I know not to come hounding you for that, whatever it is, the discovery or the brief, or, you're sitting there in trauma and I'm just like, where is the brief? No, I don't want to do that, because I want that part of the practice to change. And so thank you for showing that vulnerability in your TED Talk and making that humanness real. It helps all of the rest of us know that that's okay to talk about. It's okay to recognize. It's okay to acknowledge that we can be proud, strong, driven, ambitious women who are doing incredible things, and we can need help to get there too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's definitely what I was trying to accomplish, so I feel good about that. I really do.
Mission accomplished. Where's the bubbly? I think this is like the third time.
I know, right? We need alcohol, and I'm hearing that kid again, so it's clearly time.
Mom life.
For me to say goodbye. Jamie, thank you so much for recording with me today. I really appreciate it. You are such a sweetheart. You always have been.
Thank you, Winter. It's been my pleasure. Speaking of kids, I think I hear mine coming too.
Thank you for listening to the Mediate Now. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Music and audio editing provided by Encompass Podcast Studio. Take our advice. You will improve your entire life.